Welcome everybody to this kind of anniversary episode of the Open Research webinar. It's the episode number 10. My name is Marco Jahn. I work for the Eclipse Foundation, and together with Olivier Bouzereau from OW2, I'm your host of today's webinar. So for those of you who are new to this webinar, as I said, it's the 10th episode. So during the past years, we had a couple of previous webinars where we had quite some interesting and diverse presentations of different research projects that are doing open source and are doing great collaboration between industries and academia to shape the future of European open source technologies. And all of these sessions have been recorded, so you're welcome to visit our website and have a look. For each of these past webinars, you will find the recordings on the website. The agenda for today is, as usual, we will have two talks. The first one is by David Benqué, who will talk about Cryptpad, the open source end-to-end encrypted collaborative office suite. And the second talk will be by Rob Wullens from NXP, who will talk about Tristan, together for RISC-V technology and applications. And in the end, we will have a little wrap-up and outlook to the future. And after each after each presentation, we will have 5 minutes for Q&A. We are recording, so if you want to stay anonymous, switch off your video. As I said, we will have 5 minutes of Q&A after each presentation, so feel free to raise your virtual hand or put your questions in the chat, or just speak up when the talk is finished. Just a few announcements from both the foundations, Eclipse and OW2. We had in October, we had EclipseCon 2023, and for those of you who have missed it, have a look at our website and our YouTube channel. Recordings will be published soon. So we had quite a lot of interesting topics, of course, all around open source. Keep an eye on our website and on YouTube channel if you are interested to rewatch any of the talks we had at EclipseCon. And with that, I hand over to Olivier for speaking about the OW2 announcements.
Thank you, Marco, and welcome to our online participants to this 10th edition of the Open Research webinar prepared together with Eclipse Foundation and OW teams. So my role at OW2 as project coordinator is to support the open source community, including OW2 members who are either software builders, integrators, users, and contributors, and most of them with several roles, in fact. A few facts about OW2. We are celebrating our 16th anniversary this year in a fast-growing open source software market with 43 projects in the domain of software engineering, business intelligence, knowledge and content management, but also communication and security. We are partnering with 22 associate organizations worldwide and serving more than 2,600 individual members who are mainly open source developers. And we are proud to reach 30 corporate members, including sponsors like Bluemind, CEA List, Engineering Group in Italy, INRIA, Fraunhofer Focus in Germany, the National Gendarmerie, Orange, PrestaShop, the City of Paris, and Xwiki, for instance. So these people are joining OW2 to share their digital assets and some best practices, sometimes to increase their visibility and to share also business opportunities through technical guidance, shorter time to market, and reduced risk. OW2 is also preparing a dozen of public events each year, including our annual conference, OW2Con, in June in Paris. So, as you said, Marco, during the past years, we've presented 18 open source projects, 9 from each association, foundation. Open Research webinar series is ending today, but both Eclipse and OW2 will offer soon new Open Research webinars, so please stay tuned for more information on this. Next two important events for us will be in December 6 and 7 in Paris, Open Source Experience, which is the largest open source conference in Paris, in France. And we will have 4 members on the OW2 Village, which is a central booth. And you will hear some of the members also involved in the 7th session of the conference. Then, as I said, in June 11 and 12 in Paris, we will have the annual conference that will take place at Orange Labs site. And CFP will open soon in December for members to contribute to the conference. So the URL is ow2con.org to know more. Let's now present David Benqué from Xwiki SaaS. David is involved in the Cryptpad development within a team of 9 developers. And he will present us. He's a designer and researcher at Xwiki. So Xwiki, as you know, is a French ISV and a long-time W2 member. But David is living and working not in France, but in Ireland, in Cork. He holds a PhD in visual communication from the Royal College of Art. And as the Cryptpad team project lead, he is ready to present Cryptpad now. So David, I'm delighted to offer you the mic now. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here as well, and very happy for our project to be joining officially OW2 as well. So let me share my screen. Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm delighted to be here and delighted for this opportunity to present Cryptpad. So it's an end-to-end encrypted collaborative office suite, and obviously I'm going to spend a bit of time explaining what this means exactly. So I guess the main topic of this presentation is collaboration, online collaboration to be precise, and the kinds of things we've come to expect or take for granted in terms of working together online. So collaborating on documents in real time, for example, is something that we don't think twice about these days. But there is a bit of a trade-off between collaboration and privacy at the moment, which tend to be mutually exclusive. So collaboration is often comes at the price that we take for granted that the service that is facilitating collaboration on a document gets to see the content of this document. So privacy is effectively often the price of effective collaboration when it comes to an office suite. There is some privacy softwares, obviously, a lot of different things using encryption, but typically these are either messaging apps, so like Signal, for example, which are great at privacy, but and you could say collaboration, but not if you're thinking of collaborating, let's say, on a long piece of text. Or there are pieces of software that allow you to work on bigger documents in an encrypted way, but typically these are not great at collaborating. So our starting point is this field, which is a bit, divided or separated in two. And basically, the basic mission of Cryptpad is to say that these should not be mutually exclusive, and that you should be able to have both collaboration and privacy. So collaborate with the people that you want to collaborate in real time, and that the service that you are using does not need to have access to everything you do with your collaborators. So we offer a fairly comprehensive office suite, starting with a drive to organize all your documents like you've come to expect from other services or from operating systems. You can create folders. You can share these folders, so whole collections of documents. You can organize things in different ways, search, create templates, and so on. And this is associated with a user account that you create on Cryptpad. And then we offer a whole suite of applications to do everything that a kind of modern contemporary collaborative work or a team would need. So we have the rich text document as the basis, the basic format of a collaborative format with comments, user mentions, and a host of rich text features. These are also exporting all sorts of different formats, which I'll come back to and import as well. We have a code/markdown editor, which allows you to collaborate using rich text, plain text syntax. For you those of you who are familiar with Markdown, so it's quite an extensive version where we have lots of different extensions as well, with diagrams, obviously image, but also table of contents, and extensions such as mermaid diagrams and so on. And you have a live preview. If you want to share snippets of code as well, this is possible with this app. We have a slightly more niche use of Markdown, which is Markdown slides. It's a slightly different way of rendering with separators, and then you can create a slideshow really easily just by typing some text. We have a Kanban board, which is great for organizing teamwork, or if you follow the kind of agile sprints and so on, you can easily organize yourselves in rich cards that have also support for Markdown and tags and all sorts of different subtleties. We have a form app, which allows you to create very detailed and intricate surveys and feedback forms and so on. There is a doodle alternative question type, poll to, for example, agree on a meeting date. There are all sorts of different question types, also conditional sections that can be conditional on a choice of radio buttons, for example, that reveal and hide other sections of the form. This is an app that we developed from scratch in-house. We have a whiteboard that uses Fabric.js to do collaborative drawing, demonstrations. It's been used to do, for example, math demonstration as a kind of whiteboard. And then we have the trio of proper Office apps from OnlyOffice. So we integrate only the front end of OnlyOffice within our encrypted collaborative backend. Here we have Sheets, which has been the longest running integration that we have. So full-fledged spreadsheet editor with formulas and so on, conditional formatting, etc. And then more recently, we also integrated the Word equivalent, which is called Document. That also has a host of features that you've come to expect from a Word format editor. And also the app that I'm using right now to present this to you, which is a presentation or PowerPoint alternative with support for also open document format imports from LibreOffice, for example, support for themes, images, etc. So aside from all these apps proper, there's a host of also collaborative features. I mentioned shared folders, but we also have team drives. So this is like even more than a shared folder. A whole drive can be shared with a team of users, which each can have different roles, so kind of granular permissions. There are also calendars that can be shared between users and teams. And some features to share very easily with other users on the platform. This is the safest way to do sharing with a contact on Cryptpad, because that way no information leaves the encrypted platform. But if you do, because we often need to share outside of our immediate group, or we might need to bring people on board Cryptpad. There's, of course, the option to copy a link and share either view or edit rights with outside contacts. And in that case, the keys of the document are included in the link. So in this case, we like to say that the document is then as secure as the channel that is used to send the link. So we really encourage people then to think about the way that they are sending Cryptpad links, and to prefer obviously secure channels. And so, as I was saying, the whole innovation of this product is that so this fairly banal Office suite that I've just presented to you is fully end-to-end encrypted. So what does this mean in practice? It means that everything happens, in fact, in the browser of the user on the device, and that everything that leaves the browser is and to our server is encrypted. So the server does not get to see any information that is not encrypted. It manages to still facilitate things like real-time collaboration on a document, but it does so with encrypted data. So everything that the user sees is decrypted on their device, and everything that they send back to the service is encrypted before being sent. So that is the basic constraint that we are working with. And with this hard kind of privacy focus, we then try to make things as easy and as recognizable for users who may be used to different online Office suite products, and to replicate that experience and to make it as easy as possible to collaborate together within the kind of constraints of this hard privacy protecting focus. We've been involved in a range of research projects. So a lot of our funding to date comes from European Union programs, notably the Internet Foundation and the Next Generation Internet program, and various grant programs within this that we have benefited from, typically to develop features or things like this. So one recent or fairly recent project that we have completed, and this is something that I like to use as an example of this the server cannot see anything constraint, is this project called InterOffice, which was focused on interoperability of document formats, because before this it was quite hard to import Word files and PowerPoint files into Cryptpad. And this was because typically the document conversions that we tend to take for granted are happening in the server. So this means that the server is doing transforming your file, let's say, from a PowerPoint to an open document presentation. But to do so, obviously, it needs to be able to read the content in order to convert it. So typically, what's depicted here in this drawing is that the server does the thing and then it sends back the results. But as a fully encrypted product, as I've explained, we are not able to do this because the server cannot see the content. So what we did in this case was to design a converter that is downloaded to the user's browser, so that we lose a little bit of time downloading this file, but then that means that we gain the ability to do the conversion inside the user's browser and to stick to our hard constraint, which is that the server cannot see ever anything. In other projects that we are currently working on, there is one called Cryptpad Blueprints, where we're extensively documenting the cryptography and the threat models that are used for Cryptpad. So if you want to know more details about the actual nitty-gritty of how things work in Cryptpad, and you have the knowledge to understand these kinds of things, then feel free to read our new white paper, and there is more content to be released very soon in that category. And we are also working on a project called Cryptpad Auth, which is all about authentication. So we've already implemented multi-factor authentication earlier this year in the summer. And we are currently working on integrating within single sign-on schemes, which might be of interest to people who want to self-host Cryptpad as part of an existing, let's say, an enterprise software stack that is already existing and protected by a single sign-on system. And Cryptpad will be soon able to be integrated within this. And we're also involved in a couple of European initiatives that are centered around notions of digital sovereignty. So OpenDesk is a German project which aims to develop a fully open source workspace. So an alternative to things like Microsoft 365 that has been kind of designated as a US product that is not in compliance with things like GDPR. So they are assembling all these kinds of building blocks into a fully operational kind of workspace, modular workspace system. And so for this, we've been developing or like integrating a new application and also integrating Cryptpad within a host platform, which is Nextcloud. So the diagram application is already live on, you can try it on cryptpad.fr. This is an editor called Draw.io, which some of you might be already familiar from. Similar to OnlyOffice, sorry, we only integrate the front end, and then the back end is our encrypted collaboration system. And this is our Markdown editor within Nextcloud. So if some of you use Nextcloud, you might be interested to know that you can now launch a collaborative Cryptpad session, which is fully encrypted within a Nextcloud instance. And then once all users have left this this live collaborative session, the document is returned to Nextcloud storage. There are similar initiatives in France that we are also joining more about the Office suite side of things and how to maintain a sovereign Office suite. So we're involved in a number of projects that have started this year to strengthen the Office suite provision for various enterprise contexts as well. So I invite you to visit our project website for more information. This cryptpad.org. You'll find everything from the list of public instances where you can try our software, including cryptpad.fr, which is the flagship instance that we maintain as a development team. And you'll find also all the ways to get in touch with us. We have a forum. We're active on the Fediverse and on Mastodon, for example. All the kind of matrix chats as well. I will leave my own details here if you want to get in touch or have any questions beyond this webinar. I'm on Matrix or by email, obviously. As I've said, we're present on Fediverse. We have a Matrix chat, and all our code is on GitHub. And yeah, this is all of our team. We're currently 9 people working on Cryptpad. This is a fairly young team because about this time last year we were only 5 people. It's been a very rapid growth in the last let's say a year and a half. We've gone from 3 to 9. So there's a nice new energy, and we hope to do great things with the project. And we're very happy to be doing this in collaboration with OW2, as I've said. And if you have any questions, I'd be very happy to answer them now. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, David. Very inspiring presentation. So we will take 5 minutes for questions and answer now. Do not hesitate.
How do you commercialize the solutions? So, okay, so at the moment, there are different options. You can, the code is fully open source, client and server, and you can self-host it for free, and you can use Cryptpad.fr for free as well. And you can, if you do this and still want to donate to or contribute to the project financially, you can donate on Open Collective. Then we have Cryptpad.fr, which is our flagship instance, the instance that we maintain as a development team. And on this instance, you can subscribe. Basically, there are no difference in functionality, but you can get more storage and priority support for if you have an issue, your support ticket will be treated before free users. And then we are working on managed instance plans, so where we would maintain a full instance of Cryptpad for maybe slightly larger enterprise or non-profit or education institutions like schools or universities. This is the push that we're currently trying to do. We don't have much clients in that level yet, but this is where we're hoping to go to sustain the project basically beyond the research funding, basically. So Gerardo, I hope that answered your question. Do you have any programs for ISP to implement this service to their customers? Or does this only work as a self-service installation? So I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by ISP.
Internet service provider.
So, well, basically we provide an instance. So this has nothing to do with your ISP. Okay, hosting provider. Okay, I get it. No, we don't have partnerships like this yet. I'm assuming you mean so you would get a hosting and a one-click install of a Cryptpad instance, for example, from a hosting provider. Like they would manage the instance. So right now we don't have such partnerships. We're looking at doing this ourselves first. Just like Xwiki also provides an open source wiki solution, and they do support basically for cloud instances. So we would try to follow the same model. But technically, anyone, because it's GPL licensed, anyone could do this, even commercially if they wanted. But yeah, at the moment we're still trying to crack that market, basically.
Rob Wullens will be our next speaker, and Rob has more than 20 years of experience in management of large international innovation projects, and he's currently the coordinator of the Tristan project. And Tristan stands for Together for RISC-V Technology and Applications. And well, Rob, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for having us on your webinar. It's a pleasure to be here. So I will tell you a bit more about Tristan, the project, and what we are doing there. I have a few chapters I would like to discuss. Maybe you can switch to the next slide. So I will explain a bit on how we came to this project, who we are as a consortium, a collaborative consortium in Europe, what our contribution is to RISC-V and the open source community, because as you all might know, RISC-V is a very important open source platform that is increasingly important also in Europe. And finally, I will share some conclusions with you. Maybe at first, how it all started. There's this policy need that Europe needs to urgently catch up with China on open source. As you can see in this slide, there's increasing attention to open source, but also to RISC-V. If you see at RISC-V adoption, for example, by companies like Huawei, that's increasingly important. And Europe is in the middle between proprietary solutions that are in the US and open source community that is boosting in Asia. So it's important to take a role there, and that's how this initiative started. So there's a need to develop the RISC-V supply chain in critical markets to reduce dependency, basically. And on this slide, I will not explain to them all because you will have the presentation as well. But at this moment, there might not be sufficient critical mass in Europe. And also, if you look at the news, the US and China competitors are running really fast. You see, if you follow a bit the news on RISC-V announcements, you see that there are large investments both in the US and Asia, and even the US politics are getting involved now on RISC-V, not to export them to China. So there's a lot of going on. But the strength is it's an open source platform. Lower export controls, although it's in actual discussion as we speak, but most likely it will not be feasible. And it is strongly supported also by the academics. So we believe as a consortium, but also European policymakers believe that RISC-V is very important to Europe, and we should invest largely on it. Now, in the next slide, you can see there was at first a working group in Europe formalized to make recommendations and to provide a roadmap to the European policymakers on RISC-V. Here are some members of that working group, and that RISC-V roadmap is available on the internet, and it's basically an advice to the European Commission. These are important sectors, these are important developments, and those are also a bit explained in the next slide. So you see there's an opportunity in RISC-V cores processors, both ranging from low end to mid end, but also high end. There are opportunities in software, in specific domain, specific features. For example, space has different requirements than automotive or mobile, and that all leads to these application domains, ranging from automotive, industrial, communication, and other sectors. And based on this overview, the Tristan project was formed, which is also shown in the next slide. So we are a consortium of 46 partners with a total budget of 54 million. And it's a 3-year project. You see the European countries that are represented in Tristan. We started the 1st of December 2022, so we're almost completed our first year. And as you can imagine, with 46 partners and such a budget on a very broad topic of RISC-V, it's very important to make it concrete. So in the next slide, I put down some objectives of our project, and the first one is really important. So it's basically to expand and mature the European RISC-V ecosystem with to a certain TRL level, at least TRL 5 or TRL 6. So also to also allow commercial adoption. So previously RISC-V was basically an academic standard, very much used in universities and potentially SMEs or startups, but not so much by large OEMs. And that's an important objective. So we want to leverage the open source community and contribute to that and define that strategy on RISC-V to provide building blocks and also open source building blocks. So I will come to that a bit later and covering basically the entire chain. So from both the core designs till software, till EDA tooling, the full stack. And of course, a very important objective is to expose a lot of people to RISC-V technology, not only in the project, but also in our dissemination objectives to show and demonstrate the potential of RISC-V in Europe, particularly to strengthen further adoption. Okay, now maybe a bit of a complex figure, but this slide shows us our project structure. So what you see on the left side is, of course, we are a European project, so we are all divided in work packages. At first, we have our work package 1, which is basically on requirements and the architectural map of our components. Then we have our, I would say, core research work packages about processors, about peripherals, about software and EDA tools. And that will all be combined in, and that's on the right side, on integration and demonstrators. And that will be done on different levels of maturity, in terms of virtual prototypes, FPGAs, but also actual test chips. So we will not have every working item in Tristan be produced in a test chip, but we will demonstrate them to at least TRL5, which should enable further industrial adoption. Now, if you look at our demonstrators in the next slide, we have identified them in these 5 domains. You can see the automotive demonstrators are a bit more represented than the other domains. But you can see we have partners that are active in the aerospace domain, in mobile, in wearables, in industrial demonstrators, but also largely in automotive demonstrators. And as you can imagine, also with our European industrial base, this could be a very important market for RISC-V adoption. Once we have solutions that are capable of meeting all the automotive requirements, that could be a very strong asset to Europe. Now, the next slide, I will tell you a bit more on the open source character, because we are all here about open research discussions. So I don't have an exact figure, but I would say like 85 or 90% of the Tristan work is open source. We have created this Tristan virtual repository on GitHub to show and to demonstrate to which open source items we are contributing. So in some cases, it can be that we create a specific Tristan item on GitHub, but in some cases we as a project contribute to establish the repositories. But it's good to visualize that and to show that where we contribute. So that's why we established this virtual repository. In the end of the presentation, I will show you the link, and everybody, of course, is invited to join that or to contribute or to create a request in case of relevant, because we have a partner who is managing this repository and will also deal with any requests made in this section. Finally, where to find us? The most important one is the second bullet. We have our project website online. It's tristanproject.eu. It's still very general. We will start posting our updates on that in the next few weeks. More important for you if you are interested in following Tristan, or maybe even contributing to the work we are doing, is to visit our GitHub page. There you will see all working items that are being developed, and you can directly interact with this. And finally, if you have any questions or specific requests to contribute, you can also contact me directly. Okay, thanks. That was so much for my presentation. Thanks a lot for your attention.
And again, thanks to both of our speakers and to everybody in the audience. This was actually the last episode of the Open Research webinar. So with the 10th episode, we will close this, but it's not ending here. So both of us foundations, Eclipse and OW2, will continue in a similar fashion with new webinars in 2024. So for us at the Eclipse Foundation, we are planning to launch a series where we will have one research project and one related Eclipse open source presented together to foster collaboration a bit deeper between the research and the actual open source projects. That's the plan for Eclipse Foundation and OW2. Olivier, I'll let you speak for the plans for OW2.
Yes, thank you, Marco. OW2 will also open early next year, a new webinar series dedicated to promote new projects from OW2 code base and also open source innovation from a project funded by the NGI Search project. NGI Search is a Cascade funding project with 5 open calls. We are now we will start the 4th open call this next January, in fact, and I will encourage you to check on OW2 newsletter and NGI Search website for the next to stay informed about these open calls.
And if you are registered for the Open Research Webinars newsletter, of course, you will be informed about any follow-up, and we will inform you when the recordings of this episode will be ready.
Okay, so thanks a lot. This concludes our webinar, I think, Marco.
It concludes the webinar, yes. Thanks, Olivier. Season's greetings. It was a pleasure to have this for 10 times. Yeah, and hopefully see you soon in one of our next endeavors.